30-second countdown. Neat. So we're just here. It's fine. This is fine. Hey guys, welcome to the Coffee Table Talks, which was supposed to be featuring, do not adjust your LinkedIn television set. It was supposed to be featuring Calline. And we were like, oh no, something happened. She hasn't shown up. Maybe the link broke, maybe something, whatever, all of the things, right? You go down your checklist. And it turns out that she got a new EA, executive assistant, in the last couple of weeks. And they had some communication errors between one and the other. I was talking to the original one, and there was a brand new one. So anyway, we're working those out on the back end. We're going to reschedule with Calline, and it looks like right now next week is looking pretty prime. But if not, we will be having her on later. So
hey, I think Jim's in the background if we want to bring him in.
Oh, I love it. Jim, come sit with us. How are you, friend?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
We're super live, Jim. I hope that's okay with you.
Hi. How are you?
I'm well. How are the holidays?
I don't remember. It was so long ago.
Fantastic. It was pretty long ago. It was like a month ago.
Unlike you, I'm just looking forward to the rodeo weekend, which is a 4-day weekend for us here in Arizona. So
nice. We do something similar, like a regional but statewide holiday. It's called Mardi Gras. Ever heard of it?
I've heard of that.
Yep.
And Mardi Gras is probably a lot easier than rodeo because here you're required to actually ride your horse to work, and that's difficult for some people. So.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, yeah.
So this is one of those situations where, let's see, I think it's called punting.
Sorta. But you know what? When we punt, man, we punt well. All right. All right. So let's do some introductions, first of all. Hi, I'm Rachel Arnold. I'm the Human API with SecureNation.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi. This is Will McCullen at the top, my giggle face. He is the program manager at the IT Center for Excellence of Pima Community College in Tucson, Arizona. And below us is his fearless leader, Jim. Hi, Jim. You want to introduce yourself and tell everybody what it is that you do?
Sure. So I'm Jim Craig. I'm the Dean of Business, Information Technology, Cybersecurity, and Hospitality Leadership at Pima Community College. So very happy to be here, even on short notice. So it's great to be able to join you all.
You're doing great. You're just doing great.
I like Will Redmond's statement up there. Request for topic?
Request for topic? Sure, we can do that. Oh, we also need to bring the chat up. Here we go. There we go. Now we have all of our guests, all of your new ones. The price lower than blah, 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 blah. Get out of here. Get out of here. We don't add. That's how you get blocklisted, kids. Right there. There we go. Will said request for topic. So I was chatting with Will about this a second ago, literally. And I was like, hey, let's talk about work-life balance. And Will was like, this is going to be horrible because I don't know anything about work-life balance. And I was like, that's fair. Neither do I. We just work all the time. It's horrible. So let's talk about it. What should we do? What should we do about work-life balance? Will, what should you do? I don't know. We should, but yeah, see, Rob's right. Work is my life. I feel that. I wake up and I think about, and I don't know if I'm thinking about it because it's work or I just do it because I know it sounds corny, but they're like, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
Well, I think that's a really important first step, though, right? If you, the best way to have work-life balance is to do whatever you love is work, and if you can do that, number one, you're 80% there.
Right.
But that doesn't preclude you from having to take a break from work, to doing things with your family and friends, to literally stepping away and having some perspective. I have I have a academic director that just got back from a very short 4-day Cancun vacation with his wife. They're new parents for the first time, and for the first time gave their baby to their parents to watch, and then they went away as a couple to Cancun, and he literally was transformed in 4 days. He went from being very stressed out, too much work to do, no breaks on weekends or nights, and he came back a new person. And so it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. It's just a little self-care, a little dedication to yourself and your own health and your own family, and can have great results.
So I guess we shouldn't be talking about work-life balance. We should be talking about self-care balance.
Yep.
Don't forget, you need to be fed and watered, taken for walkies.
Yeah, but then
just you don't have to put a leash on yourself, but definitely take yourself for a walk. Yeah.
I don't know. Will's been with me. You guys have both been with me at a conference. I might require a leash.
You might require one. Yes.
I'm like that really overly friendly dog at the dog park. I go and say hi to everybody, and I'm like, pet me, pet me, pet me. Hello.
I don't know. But I've been a leader for a long time, and it's always an issue, especially when you have people on your team that have passion, and they have passion for life, but they have passion for the mission and the vision of what you're doing, and that's so motivational and it's so inspiring that it's actually hard to think about self-care in that context, even more so than somebody who hates their job and wants to get out and wants to move on. It's just as important to have self-care and have that time to reflect and to celebrate away from whatever that work environment is.
And it's good to step away, because sometimes when you're in the middle of something that you're hitting the wall on, just moving back out of it a little bit, right? You realize, oh, the wall wasn't that tall. I can just climb over it. You're like, why am I trying to go through the wall? This is a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, then there's other aspects of that too. So this is coming into past history, right? I remember when I was first getting into IT, right? That was back where I was working with K-12. And as we all know, there's a lot of folks that can pipe up in the chat on this quite comfortably, that in IT, it can be very, very demanding, right? Because once you get in charge of servers, get in charge of environments where you're the buck stops there. And especially if you're on a team or in a IT environment where there's not enough folks to do everything, right? But you still have those high demands. And then you're also in a situation where you're struggling because you're not making enough money.
Yep.
Right. And there's a lot of, especially when you get going at the very beginning, at that time when I was in K-12, they were just, wow, it was difficult. And so you really can't afford a vacation to head off any place. Timeout helps and you can get creative, but then also you have to have the responsibility to make some things happen. That's a challenge.
It really is. One of the books that I'm reading right now, just for funsies, like just my funsy fun read. Like, it's not deep thinking, guys. I swear. I literally picked it up because it said goblins on the cover. I was like, goblin? I'm a goblin. And it was like I don't know. It's like how to train your inner goblin or something like that. But basically it was that it's got a chapter in it that it's like all these free ways for you to break out of the confines of your life, of work, of whatever it is, and just breathe and be in your goblin habitat of choice. And one of them was like, get into the great outdoors. Most people think that the great outdoors, it has to be, mountain hike or a state park situation or something like that. The great outdoors can be your back deck. Like, you don't have to go far from your goblin hole to go to your goblin great outdoors. Like, it's okay. But just going outside and watching the tree sway in the breeze for a little while, or you know what I mean? Just getting that clarity of mind.
Yeah, could you clarify that, because I'm in Arizona? What are trees again? I'm sorry.
Okay, so watching the cacti blow in the desolate sand. I'm like Anakin Skywalker when it comes to sand. I'm like, I hate sand. It gets everywhere.
Yeah. But
and again, that fresh air is different for everybody, right? For some people, it is getting out to, the mountains or the trees, and for other people, it could be, being inside but going to a museum or
right.
doing something like that. It's wherever you can feel some peace, wherever you can feel like your batteries are being recharged in some positive way, and that's really important.
Or activities or the groups. For us, it was always Scottish country dancing.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that. I love that about you. I was telling Meg that this morning. I was like, Will is just the bestest. And then on top of that, he knows how to do a mean Scottish country line dance. Like, who does that? Will does. That's who does that.
And that's a perfect example, because I've gone, I've attended a wedding, for instance, with Will's family, where they were doing Scottish line dancing, and to me it petrified me. I was scared to death, and I tried to hide in the back of the room, but he was elevated, he was lit up, he was happy, so that's everybody has their own inner Scottish Highland line dancing.
No, for me it's an inner goblin, and Rob says my D&D is showing.
Yeah.
And then what is it that Jack said? He said, get out and talk to the donkey. That works. It works. I mean, you're talking it. Sometimes when you're frustrated, you may feel like everyone you're interfacing with at work or in your home or in your family are a bunch of jackasses. So go outside and talk to the actual jackass. That will be, it will help. I liked Jack. That's a good one. Brings up a question. What was it that Will says? This brings up a question. Promises of dollars in IT. I read about layoffs in IT and IT. Oh, you guys, this morning I just shared the article with Will this morning. Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition. They laid off like 2,000 Blizzard developers. So if you need some creative folks, I'm just saying they might need you. How serious is the deficit of IT? I've talked to some people that say that the deficit is inflated. How serious is the deficit of IT? I've talked to some people that say the deficit is inflated. What do you mean inflated, Will? I need some clarification. The dollars in IT. So all of the entry-level IT stuff is pretty, I mean, it's going to be a bump up from whatever you were slaving away at before you got into IT. But
yeah, well, you have things like I just had it.
Do you?
It's a site that shows the number of IT jobs. Do you remember which one that is?
Well, you're thinking about that. There's two factors that are going around right now that I see a lot of. One is that Silicon Valley and other companies are taking advantage of this. It's a trend in corporate America, right? If somebody has to lay off a bunch of IT jobs for whatever reason, everybody else uses that as an excuse to lay off their bottom 10%. It's a pure business strategy. They can run under the radar because somebody's already set the precedent. Really has nothing to do with we have too many IT positions, we need to get rid of them. It's really about the bottom line, the dollar. And I think that tends to have a lot of people misinterpret that type of a wave that we're seeing now that I think is starting to taper off. But in the last 6 months to a year, that's been the phenomenon. And so I think that tends to scare a lot of people in the IT industry, thinking, oh my gosh, there's not nearly as many jobs out there as I thought. And I don't think that's true. But on the other hand, there's the lying and the misrepresentation that a lot of educators have about IT positions and IT jobs. And the perfect example is take our programming boot camp. It's only 4 weeks long. And at the end of this boot camp, you will get $100,000 as a professional programmer.
No, you won't, babe.
And it's only going to cost you $30,000, and we'll take that out of your first year's salary. You don't even have to pay for it up front, and unless you don't get a job, which you won't. So there's just some horrible misrepresentation in the education community that is just, it's obscene, it's criminal, but nobody gets prosecuted for it.
And then there's, sites like I remembered what it was, right? It's the cyberseek.org. Am I showing that the wrong way?
Hang on. I can probably mess with it. Maybe.
No, I'm probably showing it the wrong. I think it's just I'm mirrored to myself.
Wait, there you go. Yeah, you are mirrored to yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So
that is an interesting angle that you have on that there, sir.
But the whole concept there is, if you've ever been to this site of cyberseek.org, it allows you to do all sorts of nice searching and things like that, and find out what the latest need is, et cetera, and is used all the time in education and workforce and by folks all over the place. That
I'll fix it. Hold on.
You're having fun. That say that there's a ton of jobs out there, right?
Yeah.
But some of the misnomers there is that there's, yes, a lot of jobs, and sometimes they need folks that can actually do the job. So we come into situations all the time. You go through and you get your cert, you get your degree. Great, I'm ready to go. And then you hit the job interview and they say, okay, so how much experience do you have? Right? How many folks have come across that? All over the place.
Yeah.
And what that is a desperation on business's side that says, yeah, we have some positions that we need, but we need to be sure that they can actually do them. Right?
Right.
I mean, this comes into mind because it is the crux of our whole Center for Excellence and why we're doing what we're doing, is so that we can create folks that actually have the experience to do the job. Right?
Yeah.
And it's not about how smart you are or what you've read. It tends to be mileage.
Will, Jim, do you guys have events at the school or something similar where you have like IT recruiters come?
Yeah, we have different events at different campuses, and we invite vendors to come, and they'll have tables set up, and students can interview on the spot, or
that's cool,
or at least find out more about the vendor company and say, oh, okay, yeah, I might want to talk to you. But we even have events where students come dressed in their best interview clothes and actually drop off a resume and get that party started.
Julian asked a good question from Twitter/X. Why are companies failing to take new employees who show significant trait of learning on the job? I haven't personally experienced this. I've seen a lot of companies take on somebody that's newer, but they definitely are cool with learning on the job. I do see I can understand why there would be some hesitancy though, just because sometimes the project or the thing that you're hiring for, you need it immediately, right? And you have a deadline and there are promises to make that you have to make that deadline. And it's not always the best fit to take on somebody that needs significant amount of mentoring and significant amount of handholding, even if you want to, even if you're passionate about it, even if you're like, I would love to do that. Sometimes the environment just isn't good for it. And honestly, if the environment's not suited for that, I think that is the best choice of the hiring managers to pass on those folks. But there are places out there. You just have to keep looking for those folks. And a really big, significant help to getting there is to expand your professional network as much as possible by attending events at events with, places like Pima in Tucson, Arizona, local events, and you can get tapped into those events. There's some great nationwide and global networking kind of groups that also are certifying bodies. So like ISSA, ISACA is great. Become a member of your local InfraGard. They're hooked up with government entities and partnership with the FBI. That's a fantastic place to go. And they have events pretty regularly. Show up, say hello. Don't be shy. Tell them who you are, what you do, and be honest about yourself and where you're at on your journey. It's also a great way to meet possible mentors. Or you could even be surprised if you're newer. And thank you, Will, for sharing the link for isaca.org. It can also be a great way to find out that, hey, I know a little bit more than this other brand new person. And now I'm mentoring somebody else, right? Even as you're being mentored, you can be mentoring other people who are, not as far down the road as you are. So,
and Rob Fox brings up an excellent point there too, that sometimes you need to take a lower paying job. That's where things like K-12 or those areas where they need people desperately, but think about it. Their environments, you go to work at K-12 for a while. First of all, often it's easy to escalate because they need folks to do. So if you want to learn, if you have the initiative, you can usually accelerate pretty quickly, but also where else can you so quickly get into a situation where you can put on your resume that you have worked for an organization that has thousands of users?
Right.
Because they're students.
Rob brings up a good point. You see this right here? If you're not going to be, whoops, that's the wrong, Rob did it again. Problem comes when they are looking for someone with education experience and only offer $35K. Okay, so this is where people like me step up and go, you don't want an in-house team. You want a professional service on a subscription base. I can help you find that. Just so you know. But whenever I see a company offering stuff like that, that actually gives me a little indicator for me personally that if they're hiring and they offer that publicly, they can't actually afford what they're looking for, and they just don't realize that yet.
Right.
Or they need to work on an internship program beforehand, right? Or their HR people need a little bit of mentoring themselves, right? From industry to industry, that they don't understand they're not translating well from whoever that hiring team is over into HR for this is the job codes and the slots and they just need a friend, right? To tell them, hey, so nationwide, IT jobs have certainly opened up to remote work. Even if, look, I'm telling you guys, even if it says like you have to be on site, sometimes you don't. Okay. Try it anyway. Throw your hat in the ring. Worst, case scenario, you don't get the job, but you walk away having met a lot of really cool key people that you could continue to be friends with, right? That's another way.
Isn't that wild about this industry, Rachel? That when you go to look at jobs and go apply for jobs, how much employers are just hoping for a portion of what they ask for?
Yeah, they really are. They cast a wide net.
Students fall into this all over the place. And a whole bunch of students that are feeling very insecure about themselves, they'll go through the list and go, no, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. No, I better not try for that one.
No, 100. Look, if you don't try, you fail 100% of the time. Okay. Try it out. And it's a numbers game, right? Like you got to keep trying. You can't get disheartened whenever you get the no slammed in your face. You got to keep going. How did we go from work-life balance? Dang it, Will.
To getting a job, right?
But it was a question from the audience. It was demand.
I think Rob and Chris, and Paul have some good points though, because part of the responsibility is back on the student or back on the person who's looking for the job. It's really important, like you two have mentioned, that anybody that's interested in getting into IT or moving up in IT, they need stories to tell. They need to get that hands-on experience. Our students benefit from the fact that we have a Center of Excellence for IT and Cybersecurity that absolutely requires them to have hands-on experience, and then a live fire cyber warfare range that gives them the kind of autonomous learning and co-curricular activities that they couldn't get anywhere else. But anybody can do that on their own too. It's the building your own network at home. It's doing all the things that you suggested, Rachel, in terms of the social networking and getting involved with different groups that can help you do that. But if you can walk into an employer with no experience, but say, actually, I have had experience. I've done this. I've volunteered here. I've done this. My home network is more complicated than most small businesses. Let me tell you about it. And if you present that kind of passion about wanting to be in IT and that you're interested and that you're engaged, whether or not somebody's paying you or not, the hiring manager's ears and eyes are going to perk up in a way that they would never do just looking at your resume and saying, you got no experience.
And Rachel, how many times have you talked about volunteering at cons?
Oh man, do it. You get free tickets that way. Are you a grunt? You certainly are. Are you going to be setting up chairs? Yep, you bet your butt. But are you going to be able to go to talks for free and learn stuff and then possibly even meet all the speakers and the organizers who, by the way, if somebody is organizing a conference, it's because they're well connected. Go be that person's friend. Okay. They've already been through it. They already know all the people and they're over it and definitely happy to invite you to meet them and go talk to those people. They're like, nope, I've talked their heads off for the last decade. Somebody else's turn. Right? Like, go do that. And look, some of the smaller conferences too, like the more local ones, they're always looking for speakers. So, and that's another fantastic way to get your tickets for free. If there's something that if you're confident about, like, even if you're not that confident about it, you may end up with a room full of 3 people, but you're getting a lot of practice at presenting. And then guess what? You can put down that, hey, I did a talk at this conference back when, whatever. Right. And then you keep doing it and practice. It's a practice thing. You practice, man, practice. It's always a good idea. And then, free conference tickets. Some of those tickets can be extreme. Like, what were the prices for RSA? They were nuts.
Yeah, if you've got background, Rob brings up a very good point. Be careful about befriending an organizer. You will find yourself on a board of directors.
Oh, man, so quick. So quick. They're going to be like, you want to do stuff? Great. Rob, you got a point.
And yeah, Alexander, we've got Cactus Con coming up. That's true.
When's Cactus Con?
February, right?
Okay, I see that, but I meant...
Yeah, Cactus Con is a good example of one of those smaller conferences that you can really network easily with. You're not fighting a crowd of 30,000 like DEF CON, and you can really actually get to know people a lot more than you could at a bigger conference. And GERCON was like that too, right? That's just a great little conference that you can get up close and friendly to people like Rachel and Will and Chris Roberts and a number of other amazing people. So
yeah. What's fun is every time we're like, hey, is it time for lunch? Yeah, I'm hungry. It's time for lunch. As we're walking out the conference doors, I'm like, hey, you're new. Come to lunch with us. Like, I don't know you yet. Let's go.
Yeah, Rob, that's what I'm going to put on my resume now, Rob. I was a surprise speaker in Coffee Talks with about 30 seconds notice. I'm definitely adding that to my resume. So thank you.
100%.
Good tip. Yeah.
You've been here before. Well, you know how this goes. If you guys are new to the coffee table talks, these are always very casual, dynamic conversations with different levels of folks in cybersecurity. You're going to be all over the board. It goes very much so like this, which is great because all of the feedback I've ever gotten from any guest of the coffee table, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, since you are officially, I guess, like 3 or 4 times now over the last 3 years that we've been doing this. They all love it. They love the format. They love the style of it, the easy breezy, beautiful cover girl situation. Like, you just show up like you are meeting for coffee. That's the idea. That's the idea.
And you can be relaxed and everybody has fun, chiming in and being part of it. It's just a really nice, relaxed, warm, welcoming environment. So, and a lot of fun. And a lot of fun too.
Oh, Gary, we do read chat. Gary Richmond from Twitch says, "Do you read chat?" Yes, we read chat.
Makes it up right there on the screen.
That's what happens. Shane McCombs coming in from YouTube. That's what makes the coffee table talk so much fun. If you are not familiar with Shane McCombs, I love Rob. Rob says Chris will teach you new ways to use the F word. It's true. Wait, you guys can read. Yes, Rob, we can read.
Yeah. And of course, not everybody's interested in firewalls, but the way Chris Roberts talks about it, he does use the F word quite a bit. So
he does. Firewalls.
I think that's what he meant. Firewalls.
It is. It's 100% what he meant. I don't know what else that could be other than firewalls. Firewalls, right? Pew 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 pew.
Yeah, if we have any difficulties there, Brett can definitely help us out with other definitions.
Have you noticed it's a common thread though that there's a lot of over-caffeinated nicotine, possibly F-drum bop dropping folks in our industry? I think it's the level of frustration that comes sometimes from just the nature of the business, right?
I think it's in direct proportion with how many hours you've spent in a small room late at night trying to make something work.
See, and this is why I don't do that, because I need people. I can't be stuck in a small room. Sometimes I just get real sad and I realize it's because my blinds are closed on the windows behind my screen. I'm that person. Look, Chris says that's me. That's me, man. Yeah. See? I'm from India, and I guess you're from USA, right? You are correct, Gary. We are in the USA. We're located in a couple different places. I'm from South Louisiana, and my co-host Will and his boss, our guest, are both in Arizona. So that's dynamic in itself, isn't it? Swampland versus dry and arid. Yeah, we are. How's India today, Gary? You got to tell us.
We got dry and arid down pat.
I'm waiting for Will to adopt the beard brand. There are an awful lot of bearded people in IT. Where's your? You've got like you've got the tailored 5 o'clock shadow thing going, but it's never like. You need like the full beard. We need to get you and Jim.
No, my wife calls it the baseball beard.
Is that what that is? Yeah. I like it. Oh, Donna's from Detroit. What's up? I was in Detroit in October. So, Donna, you must have heard of GurCon at some point. It's in Grand Rapids, which is, what is that, like 2-3 hours apart? I don't remember. I had to make the drive because we had some problems with our flight. How long was that drive? It wasn't too bad, though. It was pretty good. But there's another thing, man. You want to talk about work-life balance and avoiding like burnout and all that stuff? You have got to be dynamic in the way that you think and go with the flow on stuff. Like if something doesn't work out the way that you planned and thought it was going to work out, you got to fail real fast. Fail fast, move on. Don't sit there and lament the mistakes. Just, okay, that didn't work. Next. Like next. And that's how you got to be. Back to, submitting resumes and reaching out and talking to recruiters, if they don't stay in contact with you, if they don't call your name to come land this fabulous job, okay, next. Go to the next one. And what's great is if you make that circle constantly, like you'll never run out of things that you can be doing looking for a job. Okay. It's gonna be fine.
Chris Roberts has this really, have you ever seen him talk about how he does interviews with his coffee cup?
Donna, that's right. I didn't see your picture till just now. Sorry. Hey, Donna. What's HackerCon? Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. How he does what?
Have you ever seen him talk about the interview when he does interviews and a teacup where he places the cup on the desk?
What does he do?
Wait,
back up. What?
Should I find it real quick? It's really cool.
What? He does something with a teacup.
I've got it on video.
You have it on video. Is this a slight? Is this like
No. This is a thing where he talks about how he interviews people and for cybersecurity and how to have the right mindset.
Oh, okay.
And he'll place a teacup, whatever cup he has in front of him. He'll place it on the table in front of him. Okay. And he'll say, give me 10 ways to get all the liquid out of the cup. Right?
I've got more than 10 just now.
And what he says is, when he comes across in the interviews, most people will say, okay, well, can you drink it? Yes, that's one. Can you suck it up with a straw? Yeah, that's two. Can you pour it out? Yeah. And he says,
I'm going to use my t-shirt to soak it up. I'm going to heat up the room so it evaporates. I'm going to...
Right?
What's next? So okay, sorry.
That's where he talks about the difference of a mind of a hacker, right?
Oh.
Is this why not just turn gravity off?
Yep.
Or how about you get a team of trained squirrels to come in and down and soak it up that way? Or how about drill from underneath the bottom, right? And
I like Rob's like yeet. Do you know what yeet is? I had to explain what yeet was to somebody else because we came across a capybara and they're the creatures that whenever they get stalked upon by their natural predator, they will sometimes take their young and throw it at the predator and then run away because they can make more babies. Right? And we call that yeetus fetus. You can write that down. It's a hashtag now. Yeetus fetus. Okay. You throw your young. So that actually
You're not going to do that.
No, I like mine. I don't want to make new ones. So the yeet, right? You could take the teacup and yeet it. You throw. It's a toss it out. Yeet. Anyway, sorry. Wanted to bring you up to speed. Hey, Jonathan. Anyway, I'm sorry. I interrupted. Go ahead. So yeet. Teacup. Yeet. What was it?
Anyway.
Sorry. I get it. You yeet the teacup,
yes.
And hopefully the infants drink the fluid. I got it. Yeah.
No. You just yeet. It's just the yeet.
Yeet and run. Yeah.
Just yeet. I added the capybara thing as a fun little antidote. Yeet.
Okay, 60 miles per hour, hard right turn.
Okay, so teacup. We're talking about Chris Robertson's teacup and how the hacker mindset.
You got to think differently, right? You have to have that flexibility,
right,
to explore everything in different directions. And so when you're out trying to get a job, don't think about just putting in applications, folks.
No.
Go places, talk to people, make connections.
Yep. You got to try all of it.
Look at different types of jobs, different ways going about it, but don't give up. And part of trying to get a job is just applying the heck out of being persistent.
Yeah, you do. You got to be persistent. You got to go out there and shake some babies and kiss some hands. No, wait, swap that. Don't shake your babies. Don't yeet them either. But that's what you got to do. You got to go be friendly, make friends, figure it out. Talk to them regularly too. Set yourself up reminders to reach back out to important connections that you hope that you're like, the last time that they spoke to me, they said they might be hiring in July, right? Give yourself a reminder to start like, hey, how's your day? In, May, once a week, just check in with them. Just, hey, how you doing? How's your ma and them? In the South, we call that how's your ma and them. But like, you say, hey, right? Casual stuff. So that way that you're still top of mind to them, and they will not actively be, but it'll be a very passive way that you're in their brain. And every time they come across an opportunity, not just at their own company, but if they hear from one of their other friends that they have openings or internships or anything else, to be like, hey, I have somebody that might be interested in that. Let me go back to my office and look those emails up again. Right. And they won't have to go far because you already said, hey, how's your ma and them last week? Because you set a reminder for yourself to do it. Good job. You did it. Jack says mononyms. Yep. It's a whole word. It's one word. The mononyms. How's your mononyms? That's how you spell that. Might be a Jeopardy question one day. Write it down.
Oh, and the other thing too, practice for interviews all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
Articulate what you can do. Let's see, we've got Jonathan on board here too, who's I know has done a ton of hiring. Right? We've been getting these situations where you're hiring for people. And it's amazing how many folks will come up and just give quick 1 or 2 sentences for every question that's asked. Tell us a bit about yourself. Well, I've been trying to get into IT.
No, keep going. Be a squirrel. Be a squirrel. Tell them the yeetus fetus antidote.
I wouldn't recommend that one, but
oh, come on. It worked out really well. Everybody could tell within a flash of a second that I have ADHD and and also a sense of humor. And look, now you also know that I have kids of my own that I will not be yeetusing, fetusing. And if you didn't know what yeet meant beforehand, you learned something new. So I like to educate. See how that works? Man. I could turn my yeetus antidote into a whole section of a cover letter for your resume. Okay? Be fine. Be fine. Local.
And also when you go to learn about stuff, find out, don't just be satisfied with what to click and be able to make it work.
Yeah.
Find out how things work and why. Right? It's amazing when you go to interview, how many folks come up who have even been working in the industry for quite a while.
Yeah.
And don't know how to do how basics work.
Right.
It's pretty bad out there. So if you are really looking at trying to figure out how to do jobs, how to do cyber, how to make it work, if you study, explore, and grow, you'll find that you're coming out on the top of the group when they're trying to find people, because there's a lot of folks out there who are just looking for a job.
Yeah. Don't
just look for a job. Look for a passion.
Yeah.
Look for doing something that you really, really like to do.
Yep. One of my favorite things to do is just to help people. That's the same thing that one of my mentors at SecureNation, Kim McCarty, she always says, I just love helping people. I love helping them. I love taking something challenging. So what we do at SecureNation is basically we do all of the vendor negotiations and relationship building for you. So let's say your company's like, you know what? We're going to ramp up our cybersecurity program this year, and we're going to get company-wide professional services, security awareness training with a platform and integrations into all of our workforce, right? So that way you can have everything based on role and level. And for those that under, whatever your local compliancies are or your national compliancies for different sections of your business, right? Because sometimes the lawyers have to take different compliance training from the HR people, and the HR people take different compliance training from the executive assistant, stuff like that, right? So you can sparse it all out. You want to really ramp it up. Instead of doing one a year, you want to have a full program. Great. And you're like, cool. So who can help me with that? And then all of these integrations I need to make and everything else. That's what we do. We help you figure that out, organize it, do all the conversations back and forth. And that's what me and Kim and John and Meg, that's what we're all super passionate about, is just helping people. That's why I don't work a day in my life, because I love what I do. And then I get to sit here and talk to people like Will and Jim that I have met along my journey of meeting other folks all across the everywhere, and have these conversations and get to share them with everybody. Second passion right there. I love that part. That's awesome. It's my favorite.
You remind me of something that I've given advice to my kids and other people a lot. And this actually ties back to work-life balance, which is, don't go into a job where you're not surrounded by people that believe in you, who not just respect you, but actually believe in you, believe in who you are, and don't take on friends that don't believe in you either. There's so many bad relationships out there, and that causes a bad work-life balance because you feel pressured to do this, or somebody is trying to manipulate or control you. The best thing we can do for work-life balance and for a job or seeking a new job is make sure that you're surrounded by people, that you surround yourself with people who actually believe in who you are.
Yeah.
And if you do that, the balance is going to be there almost naturally, almost organically. So it's not easy to do that, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of selection and a lot of trial and error. But keep that in the foremost of your mind, and life all of a sudden gets a lot brighter and a lot more balanced as a result.
It does. I get like this surge of adrenaline when I help somebody and they look like they've been helped. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm going to help the out of you. I'm going to help you so much. Like, it's aggressive.
Can you help the firewall out of them?
I'm going to help the firewall out of them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. That's exactly it. I'm like, help. I want to help. It's optimistically aggressive is what it is. But that's the most fun, especially whenever there's like a team of, looking for new endpoint detection and response software or something. And they're like, I'm so frustrated with the one we have, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all right, well, let's talk through the frustration. It's like I'm a weird software technology and the team that wields that tool, like therapist on some days too. Cause they're like, it's just, this relationship is terrible and it's not working and blah, 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 blah. And I want a divorce. They're like, we're going to rip it out. And I'm like, that's going to take a lot of work. I'm just saying, you want to rip it out and replace it? It's going to be a high minute, babe. You got the resources for that? No, you don't. Okay. Well, first of all, let's reach out to the vendor and see why they don't want to be awesome with you. Let's do that first. Let's hear what they're thinking. Because look, I'm telling you, sometimes there are bad customers. There just are. Or it's just like marriage. Two people have become so complacent in a relationship, they don't even they just treat each other like roommates. You know what I mean? Like, you could have your software company that you've been subscribing to for years. They're like, oh, we never need to check in with that team. They're always fine. And lo and behold, the team's had, turnover. They've got 6 new employees that have no idea how to wield the new software because the customer, success team or manager or whoever it is like, oh no, they're fine. I reach out every once in a while and they're fine. But you're reaching out to somebody that has no idea what's going on with the new team. Like, it's just, right. And then you end up getting ripped. Anyway, that I feel like a therapist a lot of days where I'm just like, you didn't need to rip and replace and do a whole new expensive overhaul. You just really needed to hang out more with each other and reconnect. Go have a date night. Like
Rachel, you find yourself, you've talked with a whole bunch of different businesses, right?
Oh gosh, yeah, all
In
over the place. Big,
many
big,
different
little, small.
environments.
Huh?
So with that,
Okay.
if you're thinking folks here who are getting into the industry, who are brand new,
Yeah.
you've probably seen a whole lot of different cultures in play,
Oh, a
right?
bunch.
Different cultures.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the difficulties with folks just getting into the industry is not being able to spot a toxic culture from a good culture.
Yeah,
And
it's exponentially more difficult if you do remote work, but there are little things you can pick up on with the remote work, but on site, like
because I know you've got some scars from having been in bad places in the past.
Oh, do I? Oh, I
How
do. They're deep. They're horrible.
so what would your advice now be to somebody new who's trying to get going to recognize when they're in a difficult spot and how to work through that?
Well, number one, coming into a new place can be scary. So you need to give it a chance and give it the benefit of the doubt. And you have to try. Okay. You can't walk in and if they're not all, throwing you a ticker tape parade because, oh, here you are, don't get discouraged. But that's also a really good sign. If your new manager does not announce you to the team, Josh had a meeting this morning just for all of them to meet and greet their new cloud's architect. That's it. Just meet and greet cloud architect. That's a good sign, by the way, that those things are set up if you're a remote team, right? That you are just sat down in front of each other and are like, how's your mind them? Right? That kind of stuff, that meet and greet, that's good. People need that little bit of banter. If you go into meetings and you've never met the people on the call before, right? One, show up to remote meetings early. Well, you should show up to any meeting early because there's that bit of banter back and forth. If you notice though, that one, nobody seems to have time to show up early, right? Or they want to cut to the chase very quickly. They don't want to talk about how's your day or anything like that. That's usually a good sign. Like, and it has to be repetitive at every meeting with different people. If it's always just brass tacks, no socialization, no nothing like that, and that's the kind of environment you're looking for, is something a little more social, that probably won't be a right fit for you. If you are super trying to really crunch every second out of every day, you can't keep that up. I don't care what your personality is like. There's nobody that can keep that up all the time. You got to breathe, babe, just a little bit. Like you can't keep going like that. And it's something I've seen in a couple of companies where people show up to the meeting. The organizer of the meeting is 3-4 minutes late. Everybody else is kind of bantering back and forth, having a little bit of a chat. But as soon as that leader gets into the meeting, everybody shuts up, shuts down, and nobody is smiling anymore. That's a good indicator that maybe if everybody else looks terrified, there's a reason.
So
if everybody else is real nervous and jerky, it's because they've been conditioned to be nervous and jerky.
So, Jim, you come from a broad, rich background of leadership and leadership in IT organizations as well. How can you give us the viewpoint of a healthy perspective from a leader's standpoint of how they should build things and how they should create that environment so that if somebody comes into that environment, they can recognize if it's healthy or not?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, Jonathan said it really well. When every single person on the team wants you to succeed and will do anything to help you, and you want them to succeed and want to do what you can to help them, this is a good team. And that starts with the leader. If the leader is doing that, if the leader is removing roadblocks, if the leader is elevating every person on the team and finding out ridiculously trivial excuses to praise people and to raise them up, and to acknowledge them for the amazing work they've done or just the amazing person they are. That's the model. That's how it starts. That's how a culture like that begins and gets reinforced. If the leader is not doing that, if they're too busy trying to check the check boxes of all the things we have to get done and making the money and accomplishing the tasks, that culture doesn't have a chance, doesn't have a firewall chance in hell to succeed. And so that's key. And if a leader has that mindset, that servant leadership mindset, and wakes up in the morning focusing on that first and foremost, there's a pretty good chance that there's at least a chance in having the kind of environment that Jonathan talked about, where you have that nurturing environment, you have a place where work-life balance can even happen, where that sabbatical for a week away, even though you're the only person that's going to really be able to bring up the data center if it goes down, and that's okay. I still want you to take the week off. That's the kind of caring and welcoming leadership that creates and fosters that kind of environment. And it's very rare. Unfortunately, it's very rare in IT because the leaders have so much pressure on them as well.
Yep.
And it's very easy to succumb to that pressure. So don't do it. Leaders just don't do it. Don't succumb to the pressure.
Right.
So where did you pick up those skills?
I thought I learned it all from you.
Yes, absolutely.
I actually learned it. I actually learned it backwards. I had so many bad leaders when I was growing up in engineering and IT. So many bad leaders that I learned what not to do over and over again and in different ways. And so I learned it the reverse way. I learned, oh wow, don't ever lead that way when you become a leader, Jim. And Jim, don't ever manage that way. That was horrible. And I literally collected dozens, if not hundreds, of examples of how not to manage and how not to lead, and I remembered them. And so I avoid those. I avoid those at all costs. That's how I evolved as a leader, which is not what I'd recommend, but it's certainly a path to get there.
Yeah, signs of definitely a good sign of a toxic environment is no kudos or accolades are given, or they're all given to just one person, or they're inappropriately given to the wrong people. So toxic environment's definitely going to be a place where you and your team complete a project or a task or whatever it is. And instead of the leader announcing how great you all are, they're like, look how great I am. That's no fun. That's bad.
I've got a quick story on that. We had a situation in the past. Chris and I have been working together for a long time.
Right.
One of the leaders in the past. So Chris did a fantastic job of implementing an entire VM environment.
That's awesome.
This leader came in and basically did a magazine article and took credit for pretty much all of that. And then to inspire everybody, turned it into that magazine article into a plaque to put downstairs.
Wow.
Yeah. It was
what the firewall is that all about? Wow.
Talk about inspirational.
Wow. Well, I could do this all firewalling day, but we gotta go. It's time to go. Our time is near. It's here. It's over. Oh my gosh, this was actually I love doing these though, where it feels like we could keep on bantering for hours on end. It makes me want to live next door to you guys. Don't get excited. I'm not moving. Josh would kill me. I finally make it. It's at the end. Don't worry. Will be here next week.
So next week, hopefully.
We are. We're going to be here next week. Yeah. Well, we'll hopefully have Calline. If not, we'll be here. We'll still be here. It'll be a thing.
Very cool.
Yeah, we'll actually have like a list of topics though, and maybe an agenda. Note to Rachel self: refresh backup agenda topics for just in case situations like this one.
Jim, thank you so much for rushing down and
you're amazing
popping in to join us, because having more folks helps the conversation all the way around because of all the different backgrounds.
My pleasure. I love you all. Thank you for having me.
Oh no! Oh my God! We're just happy you like us. That's me anyway. And thank you to everyone, all the attendees and the audience, listen and contributing comments and chitty chatting back and forth. You have no. It's just I'm such an extrovert person. I get all my energies from the extroverted activities that we get to do together, and I love that you guys come and show up. I think we had like 85 attendees for today or something. So you guys are wonderful, and thanks for hanging in with us.
But do you notice it was the audience that made this show?
Yeah.
I mean, because they're fabulous. Hello.
Yeah, guys are all awesome.
They're super smart and super charismatic. Look at them all chitty chatting away. Even the ones that don't chat. My husband's one of them, by the way. One of the ones that always watch but never says anything in chat. So there are others.
The lurkers.
I don't know if you know this or not, but we IT industry folks have a stigma of not being social. The fact that like a handful of you chat in the side, I'm like, see, there's other extroverts just like me that know how to implement and do things and patch and and get tea out of a teacup in 20,000 different ways. I love you guys. Any final thoughts?
Awesome
Any more final thoughts? Do we?
No, I don't think so. I'm actually doing this from home because, well, Christmas, I got a new microphone. Hopefully it sounds a little bit better, folks, than it has in the past.
I think it sounds great.
Sweet. And so I'm about to head down to East Campus where Jim is at this moment, because we've got Brett showing up in the range, which is always fun.
Nice.
Because there's talks of firewalls all over the place.
Oh, if you guys want to check out more from Pima cybersecurity, Pima school and the cyber range and all this stuff, look, that QR code, other way. There you go. That one over there, right? Come follow us if you're not already doing that at SecureNation. This is our LinkedIn QR code right there.
And so we're in cybersecurity, so you can trust the QR code.
I am very risk averse. Okay. I double check my QR codes 5 seconds before we log in because I'm like, nope.
Don't trust QR codes. Don't trust QR codes. Oh, here's our QR code.
Don't trust random public on the bus stop QR codes, dinkus, or on the gas station pump. Like, check that one out first. But like, look, this one, fresh made. Here you go. It's going to be fine. Either that or you know what? Scrap the QR code, go to LinkedIn, search SecureNation, all one word, and hit the follow button. Derp. That'll work too. Okay. All right.
So I'm waiting for the when they hit the QR code and they hit "What does the fox say?" video.
I'm not. I want to be that person, but I'm not, because I feel like no, that's not a good way. One of the key pillars that I build relationships on is trust, Will. So if I send you someplace Sketchbox, that's not a great start to our vendor relationships situation. Like, it's just not.
Chris and I have QR codes outside of the names in our office.
Yeah.
Chris's takes you to "What does the fox say?" Mine takes you to the Lego version of Monty Python's Camelot.
Of course it does, Will. Oh, you beautiful hot mess. Oh my gosh, you guys have a great weekend.
Take it easy, everybody. Thank you all.
Hey, if you're at the if you're in the Tucson area, go check out the QR codes and let me know. Be great fun. Send them to me. I want video. I want video of you checking out a QR code. That's what I want. Angry peasant. Okay, we got to go. You guys are getting out of control. This is so just, I need you to simmer down now. We'll see you next week.